This is John Paul Ryan. I'm coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. Finally got some new Ricky Gervais news in the form of a podcast and some things he said about cancel culture. It's called Ricky Gervais Likens Cancel Culture to Road Rage Talks the Misunderstanding of Accountability. The controversial comedian often discusses his views on cancel culture, and so do I. So let's keep going. On a recent episode of the podcast, Smart Less, the 59-year-old British funny man joined hosts Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnott, with the conversation turned into cancel culture and provided Gervais with an opportunity to further share his views on the subject. As he has before, he noted the most dangerous part of the growing trend is how it can affect people's livelihoods. The scary thing is being cancelled if you say the wrong thing and suddenly Netflix can take you off their platform, he told the hosts. You could be the most woke, politically correct stand-up in the world at the moment, but you don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years' time, he continued. You can get cancelled for things you said 10 years ago. Despite cancel culture often serving as a topic that's frequently on the comedian's mind, he noted that he believes in the concept of the public holding people accountable. However, he argues that holding a public figure accountable comes to voting with one's dollar, not in shaming others to do the same. Well, here's the thing. If I'm not going to see a movie because of a certain reason, like a lot of you guys are not going to see Aquaman 2 if Amber Heard's in it, you're naturally going to tell people why. You're not going to be like, well, my wallet's closed, but you go out and see it. Amber Heard's an abuser. She abused Johnny Depp. She got arrested a few times. But go ahead. Go out and see it. I mean, you're going to give your fucking opinion like you probably shouldn't see that movie. It's not the best thing to do. Or Cuties, where a lot of people are irritated rightfully that it sexualizes 11-year-old girls. You're probably not going to be like, well, I'm not going to see it. My wallet's shut. But you go ahead. Support sexualizing 11-year-old girls. So I think, encouraging or recommending others not to see it when there's a good reason not to is just natural. That's what I'm thinking. The misunderstanding about cancel culture is some people think you should be able to say anything you want without consequences, and that's not true because we're members of society and people are allowed to criticize you, he said. They're allowed to not buy your things, they're allowed to burn your DVDs, and they're allowed to turn the telly off. Okay, what they're not allowed to do is bully other people into not going to see you. Now here's the thing. I think Ricky didn't quite say it all here. The problem is not that I think people shouldn't burn DVDs or that people shouldn't boycott products. I think people shouldn't be fired from their jobs for expressing an opinion. That's the big deal, okay? People shouldn't be canceled from networks for expressing an opinion. It depends on how bad that opinion is, but, the ceiling should be pretty high for being fired. Bullying? I'm not sure how much bullying takes place. I'm sure there's some, but in the end, there's always going to be people online who make distasteful comments and are rude. That's just part of life, basically. I get what he's saying, though. Just because you have free speech doesn't necessarily mean you should morally go out and spam your hate all over the place. There is a responsibility to take into account. It's just a slippery slope, because then where does freedom of speech end? And then where does what you can and can't say begin? So, it's kind of a catch-22 these days that's, I think, still being worked out, basically, by everyone. He also discussed how it goes beyond the world of entertainment, sharing a hypothetical about a doctor facing consequences for an offensive tweet that has nothing to do with his profession. Right, so people who aren't in the profession whatsoever, like I said, could get canceled or fired for saying something totally unrelated. Like, especially in politics. The comedian likened it to road rage. It's things happening too fast you can't take back. People dig in and people want to be heard, he concluded. People want to feel they have an effect. It's why people heckle a comedian. They want to feel they were there. Now people are heard. Some of it's down to politics, some of it's down to social media, he added. It's way too fast. 20 years ago, if you were offended by someone on television, you got a pen and paper and you went, "Dear BBC." Now you fire off a tweet and that tweet goes on the effing news. Who's going to cancel me? Twitter, YouTube? If I have to, I'll go to Hyde Park and stand up on a bench and shout SH. Gervais also laminated that the nuance is oftentimes lost in the conversation as to whether or not someone is cancelled often comes down to who they are in the public eye. Let me just add to that. Sometimes it's taken out of context and it's also judged how you didn't mean it. For example, you just can't joke these days about certain things. So, anyway, you guys let me know what you think down below. Kinda got a busy weekend, but I'm gonna make, I don't know, maybe 10 videos on Monday or Tuesday because I have some time off, so I'm just gonna bang some out, so probably have a light upload schedule for the weekend. You guys, of course, consider subscribing if you haven't. Let me know what you think down below about Gervais, things he says, cancel culture. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. If you don't subscribe, I'll be pretty sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.